Hang on.
I like it. I like it. It's a good intro, that.
Hello and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. And it's another huge show tonight with a fantastic guest. It is Basic Ollie. Hello.
Hello, Hugh. How you doing, mate? Are you all good?
I'm very well indeed. And it's fantastic to have you on the show. You're sitting there in your cockpit with your steering wheel.
Oh, so yes.
Driving all the time. But we've already got lots of questions, lots of things to get
spot on.
Which is brilliant. And for all the new subscribers as well, because we've had quite a few over the last few weeks since David Perel was on the show last week, and there's plenty more to come. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button as well. Now, my goodness me, we have got lots of questions already. I can hardly keep up with the comments here. So I'll start with the first easy general question, Ollie. How did you start racing and gaming?
Oh, so it's 100% down to my dad. Because my dad, as soon as I can remember, the first thing I remember is just him buying a PlayStation 1 and 2 and just Gran Turismo 1, 2, 3. He would just play it and I just watch him and I was mesmerized by how good it was. It was the graphics for the time were just, you just thought, well, it can't get any more realistic than this. And I was a kid, I was just glued to it, just couldn't stay away from it. And I absolutely loved it. So my first memory was of me and my dad playing Gran Turismo. And I'd hate to think the amount of hours I spent on that when I was a kid. Scary. Like, it's honestly so many hours, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I absolutely loved it. And it's put me in a position I am at the moment. I'm telling you, it was so good. That's the first real memory I've got of racing and how I got into it. It was Gran Turismo 1, 2, and 3, all over it.
So what was it that really made you take to the game? Because I mean, for different people, there's different things that they like about Gran Turismo, and you have memories of playing, especially from PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4 as the game has evolved. What would you say are like your favorite things about Gran Turismo?
I think at the time it was the realism. Like, it really was the best sim out there. There's nothing else out there that could even touch Gran Turismo. And without sounding like, big-headed kind of thing, I got it and I was like, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I was doing the licenses like you did in the old Gran Turismos. And I was getting gold and I was like, this is pretty good. I'm pretty good at this. And of course, AI on the old games weren't particularly great. So that would build your confidence even more. It wasn't really until I got to online racing, I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe I'm not that good. Because back in those days, there was no online racing. So all you had really to base off how quick you were was the licensing and the, racing against the AI. And they weren't fantastic. So you'd be like, I am the nuts. And then you'd realize you face up people and go, well, hang on, maybe I'm not as quick as I thought I was. But that is, Gran Turismo for me. It's how challenging it could be, how close it was to being a real sim. And I love cars, so that was the closest thing you could get to it when you was a kid. It was, driving on the PlayStation. It was simple as that. Simple as that. Loved it.
So it was things like, that you could drive the Zonda, wasn't it? The Pagani Zonda and race.
Yeah. Do you know what? It wasn't for me. It wasn't even so much the Zonda. It was more like your Subaru Imprezas, your Mitsubishi Evo, stuff like that. Love my Japanese cars, Nissan Skyline GTR, that kind of thing. Mazda RX-7. Mitsubishi FTO, anything like that. I don't know what it was, just something attracted me to them rather than the supercars, really, if I've got to be frank. It was just something about them. I don't know what it was, and it's still to this day, Mitsubishi, Subarus, they're just my favorite. And I think they just got loads of character. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had a Subaru, I owned an Impreza, and I got so many comments in that car about saying how people used to come up to me and go, really nice car. But then I've had a Golf and no one said a word. No one said, that's a nice car. No one bothers. No one says it. But as soon as you get one of those cars, you get so many car enthusiasts up saying, oh, mate, that's a cracking car. And that just adds my love for it, to be honest. Cars like that, they're awesome. So much personality.
If you're a car enthusiast, it does make a difference because those, Gran Turismo wasn't just great for racing, but you got a chance to drive a lot of the cars that you would love to be able to have a go in.
Exactly.
And, classics to kind of modern stuff. It gave you a great range and some quite fun races to do. I used to love the Formula One version that they had, which was really lethal to drive, and it was quite hard going. And you would go through tires in about 2 or 3 laps, and I could never. But and you'd be driving well onto the night, 2, 3 in the morning, doing your racing, just trying to achieve the different levels on the grades and licenses to try and get up and finish the game and complete it all, so you could buy the really good cars. So it's so obviously you've played it over the years. So what would you say? I mean, there's been did you have a favorite Gran Turismo version that you really kind of fell in love with? Sorry.
100% Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. 100%. When I was a kid and you jump from like Gran Turismo 1 and 2, PS2 comes out, Gran Turismo 3, the graphics, I was just like, you literally can't get better than this. I was like, look at the cars. Yeah, it was unreal. And I also got my first steering wheel on a PS2. My dad is very, very good at like crafting from materials. So he would make us like a car out of wood, like a full-on, you sit in it, had a steering wheel, you could put the pedals in it, and it was just amazing. And I'd have that with a screen in front of me, a steering wheel, and I was sat what felt like a car. I just never left it. It was just such an awesome experience for Gran Turismo 3. And I don't know if you remember, but the Mitsubishi FTO, like the Le Mans version.
Oh yes, yep.
I literally, I would do I'd do the Monaco race when I was a kid about 3 times a day. That's 78 laps times 3 every day because I wanted to get that car. And I did it for about 2 weeks, I think, solid. Goodness. So I just didn't stop till I got it.
Yeah, you had to. I remember doing one for ages and ages and ages to give you the money and the credits to get that other car. Yeah, that was the thing. We don't really do that so much now. But I have to say now, as things have switched to more online gaming, you don't really miss that side as much. I mean, I think the new GT7 is going to have a bit more of that. But I think because now people have really grabbed a hold of the online. What's been, as you first set out with online racing, how do you find it from when you started to where it is today?
Well, my first experience of online racing was actually on TOCA Race Driver 3, if you ever remember playing that. I think it was 13, and I had a PS2 Slim, and it was like the first kind of console you could play online without having some sort of adapter. So I plugged the Ethernet in and started playing TOCA Race Driver 3, and I just thought, this is incredible. But I'm racing against other people because my mates never really liked racing games, so you couldn't really get your mates over to play it. So it was always just me. And as soon as I started playing it online, it was awesome. But if you look at it in today's standards, it's fantastic. There's a long way to go, I think. I think Gran Turismo set a benchmark on a lot of how online racing should be done, as in the system, because it's by far and away, I know the penalty system gets a lot of battering, and so it should at times. So it should, because there's a vast majority of time it can be wrong. But, the system of going like S, A+, all the way down to E-rated, and just being able to hop into a race every 10 minutes, it's just so user-friendly. It's just far and away the best. But GT Sport is probably the one that's probably the second most amount of time I spent on the game. Gran Turismo 3 first, GT Sport second. I've sunk many, many hours into this game. Because every time you jump on, no race is ever the same. It's always different. It's always different, a race. It's different people. It's just brilliant. I can't fault it apart from the damn penalty system. But, I'm telling you, they got it right. They got it right about a year ago, and they keep changing it, and it just gets worse. And I'm like, oh no, it's
the one that you see where some people have put them together, in videos, and literally they're not doing anything wrong. They haven't touched anybody, and all of a sudden, because something happened behind them, they get a random 2-second penalty, which is kind of crazy,
It's infuriating when that happens. Yeah, so hard.
Have you ever played like other games, like things like the F1 game as well, or has it mainly just been Gran Turismo?
F1 games, yes, I used to play an awful lot. I can't say I've really touched this year's F1 game. I think it's because I'm so concentrated on work and then YouTube. GT Sport just works really well for me, and like do my YouTube videos. So I won't lie to you, I've bought F1 and I've done a few races on it, but my play time is going to be 5 hours max on that since I bought it. Really haven't touched it. I loved F1 games. I think F1 04 was my favourite. That was probably on PS2. That was my favourite because you used to get a little fax machine. You could be like a test driver, and then you got promoted to a second driver, and it was probably the most immersive one. You had the Williams BMW as well with that famous front wing. It was like a walrus.
The noise was good. It had a proper noise.
Exactly. It was just, But the F1 games, I have to say, I did play them religiously apart from like the last year or so. It's not because they've got worse; they have got better. But since GT Sport, it's the one I go to be honest. It's my go-to. No online game touches it, I don't think.
It's funny because you don't really see, even as a big YouTuber, when you as your fan, we're all subscribed to lots of different YouTube gaming channels and things, but you don't see the same kind of coverage for F1 games. It seems like GT Sport is this massive, and then some of the rally games and like the iRacing and things like that, and Project Cars perhaps, but it seems that GT Sport just seems to not quite have the monopoly, but it does seem to have a huge community.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I think GT Sport has a massive community, probably bigger than we think. But I think with F1 games, it's very specific YouTubers. Like if they're very like, there's a 3 or 4 I could name, and you're like, if I think F1, I'm like, those are the YouTubers. I can't. There's not. I don't think it's as easy to break YouTube if you do F1 videos. It's a lot harder, I think. Whereas if you start with GT Sport like I did, I think it's slightly easier because you can do. There's a much bigger variety of videos I think you can do, and people love online racing. Like online racing is always because there's always a talking point with every online video. It brings people to discuss it. So for me,
I suppose it's kind of what we were saying earlier, that before we watched the big guys, and then now we're trying to do it ourselves. But we watch a lot of their shows to try and improve our lap times, to try and see how they do it, see what they're breaking, see what they're doing, and learn the tips. And so it all kind of helps you to get a better lap time. But this is one of the big questions I've got for you. You do some phenomenally fast time trial and lap times. You're right up there with some really, really fast times. What are your tips for all the viewers here who are desperately trying to find ways of getting their lap times down? If you had 3 things that you think that would help bring your lap time down, what would they be?
First thing straight away is when you jump into qualifying, always load the first guy's time because he's first for a reason. Just look at what he does. Remember the braking points. What gears he in? What cars he using? How does he take this? And when you're following the Ghost, don't panic too much if you're going to lose time. He's first. Just try and see what he is doing. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to match him, but you can get damn well close and see where you can get. I've done many a times where I load the first Ghost, I do 2-3 laps following it, and then I turn it off. Yeah. Because even though I know I won't be able to exactly match him, but I think to myself, well, if I turn it off, there might be a few little things that I might prefer and actually make me quicker. So my first tip is always, if there's a Ghost or anything of first place, watch it. Because that is where he's the fastest guy. That's what you've got to do. A second one is probably how smooth you are. Honestly, if you're smooth, I swear to you, it will make such a difference. If you're going around the track constantly, constantly fighting the steering wheel, it's not going to do you any good. You need to be smooth. And start off and I would do almost like a banker lap every time. And then I would just kind of ease up, kind of brake a little bit later every time and just see where the limit is. And then just go from there. And then for tip number 3, I think in a way, don't get stressed about it. Just enjoy it. Don't get angry because you can't improve or whatnot. Just a bit sometimes. Okay, maybe that is as fast as I can go, but there'll be another different track. There'll be a different car, and it will suit your style more. And you can set a quicker time, and then you'll feel so much better about yourself. I can do some really, really quick group times. Like we were saying earlier before we started, I can do really group 4 and group 3. I can smash it, but for me, group 2, group 1, I can't do it. It's just not for me. But yeah, honestly, it just takes time, practice, and just enjoy it. don't get upset or angry. It's so easy to do. I know it's an easy thing to say, but just don't do it. Download First Place Ghost. I tell you, it works wonders. I'm telling you, people don't do it enough. People do not do it enough.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because they're in for a lot of the cars as well. If you're in higher gears, that makes such a difference because it's car balance, and a lot of the time we're in too low a gear. So of course the car is swaying about because the energy is going from back to front and so on. So it makes a big difference. So that kind of thing. I think as well, looking ahead, isn't it? Because when you're playing your game, quite a lot. I know I get caught out with that. I don't look far enough ahead, and then I realise I'm not prepared in advance for the corners so much.
I think too many people concentrate on their the dial, the information they got. What speed am I doing? And stuff like that. It sounds great. Concentrate on the road and keep your eye on the next apex because that's where you're going to be at. That's what you aim for, is the next apex. Don't look too much at your speedo and your dial. It will just feel natural. Just brake when it feels right, and always try and aim for that apex. 100%.
Yeah. So what are your, because you've had a lot of very good races, and you show that on your videos. They're always got good thumbnails that are always exciting. Fun. What have your best results been? What have been kind of the ones that you would like to think of really kind of meant something to you in Gran Turismo?
I think when I first raced Steve or Super GT, I first raced him and I did a video on it. This was back when I did it, started in like January, February. I had to record it on my PlayStation, and I only did it in 30-minute periods. So I saw him in it, and I was like, start recording. And he said, I was in the Evo, funny. I was in the Mitsubishi Evo, which is not fast at all at the time. And he said, Basic Ollie, he's brave in the Evo. And I was just starting one place in front of him. And it was at Bathurst. And I slowly started to pull away and I started to overtake people. And then my heart was pumping because I was like, this is like my idol. Like, this is the guy, I wish I could be. And I managed to beat him and I was jumping for joy. And I recorded, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I recorded it. And he was streaming at the time. So as soon as I finished the race, I went back and he was just going, I can't believe, he was like, I can't believe Basic Ollie's beat me in an Evo. He went, fair play. Like, he's beat me in an Evo. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Evo is a cracking car, but it's got no top end. So at Bathurst, you've got no chance on the back straight as soon as you're on the straight, it's lost. So I was just ecstatic. But that was my first kind of memory, and that's probably my favorite one. And at the moment, I'm doing a series with the Mitsubishi, funnily enough, and we're currently first in Europe for Mitsubishi. So I am just concentrating on that right now. So in the whole of Europe, we're currently first. And that's probably my proudest one at the moment, is the fact that I still am first. God knows how, but we are the fastest guy for Mitsubishi in Europe. And my God, I hope it stays that way. I really do. We've got about 3 races left of this series, I think. So about 3 weeks left. So I'm hoping and praying we stay there, because that'll be my biggest achievement on GT Sport, to finish first for a manufacturer. That's pretty special. So that's the aim.
Yeah. So I mean, that's brilliant. Well, I'll start asking some of the questions, because we've got a fair number of questions from all our viewers here. And I'll go right up to the very top. It was Zaza Racing who was there right at the very start, and he's got 3 questions for you. And this is very much related to what we've been talking about. It says here, how did you feel when you saw Super GT's second account in your lobby? And it says, take us through the emotions you had when racing Super GT. And that, then number 3 of that is, did you manage to get to sleep afterwards?
So it was funny. So it was on Tuesday. I was streaming. I had about 150 people watching me, which is great. And there's this. I was started on. I think I started poll, and I saw as we entered the lobby. I was like looking down the list. It was like R4M Shadow _ GT. I thought, well, that's Super GT second account. And I was like, chat, is that him? Is that I was like, is that him? Is that him? Because you don't really see it, because he don't stream anymore. You're only going to catch him in a race, like, through luck. And I was like, I can't believe it. And half the chat were telling me, no, it's fake. It's not him. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I was about 3 laps in. I was winning because he'd been taken out. And then all of a sudden, lap 3, fastest lap, Ram _ Shadow GT. I was like, well, that's him then. I was like, that solves that. And my heart was all over the place, because like I said, you don't realize how much racing against a guy does, like, for your channel. So not only am I just wanting to beat him for self-pride, but also because I've got people watching me, and it will do the world of good, because the amount of times people have commented or subscribed to my channel going, I saw you on a Super GT live stream, or I saw you in a video of his. I checked your name, searched your name, saw your YouTube channel, love it. So I thought, well, if I can beat him here, it's got so much on the line. It's not just about pride. It can do my channel absolute wonders. So my heart was through the roof. But we beat him in the first one. And then the second race, well, it was so good he made a video out of it, and he's managed to shout me out. So I think me and him are so even on pace. It just makes for such good racing. It really, really does. I was absolutely gutted when I didn't beat him. Oh, if you've seen the video, the way he does me dirty, but he does it so well. He does it so well. I said in my stream, I said, I'm not falling for it, Steve, but he did it and he pulled it off, and I was just gutted. But at the same time, it was an honour to race him.
I mean, he's got a lot of years' experience, and I think as well, he does so much go-karting, so he's so used to racing out there for real as well, and that has to give you a very strong competitive. I would say an edge, but he's so good at that
it's unbelievable. He's really good.
It's like if you race against David Perel, you would be saying the same thing. I mean, these guys, they just know how to do it for real as well. So they have that extra bit of that not the sixth sense, but they know how to think as well as they're racing, and they can just see quite far ahead. But no, you did incredibly well. And the thing is, that's only one race. You've got many more to get.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, Hugh. But the pressure on my shoulders was unbelievable. But I wish I had like some sort of heart tracker thing, because I tell you, it would have been over 150 easy. I was so nervous. I think I hit it well in the stream, but afterwards I didn't fall asleep until about 1:30 that night. I just could not sleep. I was absolutely, I was buzzing. Especially when you joined the stream as well. God, crikey, could not believe it.
Yeah, well, we did have Super GT here a few weeks ago when we were interviewing Thea from the Amazons. He came on for a wee bit, and as you see, the comments went crazy, and everyone was saying hello to him, which was nice. But he did say hello, viewers, which was his kind of routine. We all kind of missed. So hopefully, if he does come on tonight, well, I'm sure we would do the same for him. But it was lovely that he gave you this great shout out. I mean, tell the audience. So we did the channel having that.
It's unbelievable. So we finished the second race, and he beat me by about 7 attempts, which I was gutted about. And I had no idea he was going to join, and I just got to start saying, Steve, if you're watching this, you have no idea what you've done for this channel. Like, and he didn't even shut me out or anything. He didn't even done anything. I was just saying, I was saying you're so nice. Like, it was such an honor to race against you. And then all of a sudden, it just pops up with Super GT tick. And he says, bro, that was such an awesome race and all this kind of stuff. I was like, chat, that's him. Like, he's actually in the stream. And then he donated. After this, I was like, this is crazy. So he donated to the stream as well. And he said, this is what happens when you don't race against idiots kind of thing. Great race. And then I couldn't believe it. And he left. And I was like, chat, I even said at the end of the stream, I said, I don't think I'll ever forget this. I don't think I'll ever forget this stream, because it was surreal. It was actually surreal. And again, it helped out massively with the channel. And then, of course, he just released the video 24 hours later. So I had like a 30-second segment about me and about my channel, and like had my YouTube a link in the description for his latest video. And then since then, Hugh, it's just skyrocketed since he did that video.
That's great. Well, what we're always trying to do here is to try and help we try and interview lots of different sim drivers and racing drivers as well, and what we try and do is get their subscribers to come along and obviously comment and ask questions, because we feel this is a chance that they have when you're not racing to actually answer the questions that they would like to when you are racing, and so it gives you a bit more chance, under any pressure of watching the track and everything else and trying to answer complicated questions.
Yes. I've been guilty of reading the chat and then wiping myself out. I've done that once or twice. I won't lie.
But no, it's great. And if I could just say to all the viewers who are watching tonight, we've got lots of interviews. But last week we just had David Perel on the show. Tomorrow night we've got Josh Martin, who just actually beat David Perel in the Hublot Ferrari series at Monza on Sunday. There, he ended up being 9th. So that was a big score victory for Josh Martin, and he'll be on the show from 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, that would be fantastic to help us here on the channel. So let's have a look at some of the questions. Now, I saw a question here about Project Cars 3 from Philip Hochton. He's asked, what do you think of Project Cars 3?
Well, I did a review on it, and I went in there with such a level head. It was unreal. I did the first couple of races, and everyone in this chat was going, this is rubbish. This is terrible. This is a thing. I was like, no, just give it a chance. Give it a chance. And then within an hour and a half, I was raging. I just thought, what is this game? I think the worst thing they could have done is called it Project Cars 3, because it just simply is not Project Cars 3. It's so far from it. Yeah. It's surreal. And I just don't, it just felt like it was halfway there. It was half complete. It didn't know what it was. It didn't know, is it a sim? Is it an arcade? It had no idea. And I just don't understand. I was playing it. I was like, why would I want to play this? Like, why would I don't like, if I want to play an arcade game, I'll play like Grid or something, which is a lot better. But if I want to play a sim, I'll play Gran Turismo or Assetto Corsa. So where does this game fit. It doesn't fit anywhere. And I sold it within a week. I just put it up for sale because I was like, it's just a terrible game. Like I thought I did when I bought it, I thought I could see a lot of people hate on this. I'm going to be as neutral as I can. And I'm going to give it a chance because I'm normally very relaxed and always have a laugh of stuff like that. And we're an hour and a half. I was like, I'm not playing this again. It was just terrible. Everything about it. The graphics were poor. The way the cars drove. The career mode was bad. I just don't understand games where, like, suddenly I was in Japan, and then within the next race, I'm racing in Great Britain. What am I doing here? Like, there's no story to it. I'm just going from place to place, and I don't know why am I here? Like, this isn't a championship. Like, why am I racing here? I don't like it. I want a purpose. I want a reason to be there, and there wasn't. It was just, you're in Great Britain now.
Yeah, I loved the first Project Cars one. Was one of my favorite games. And even on I had the pad, it was just a great game to play, and I played it so much. I used to love the time trial, and it was the Azure track, which was about 12 miles long. I actually hold the fastest time for it. I think it's either in reverse or one, and it was such a favorite one because it's like driving through the south of France. It's like in those LMP1 car type things, and it was so good, and it just reminded me. And the graphics were fun. They were quite nice cars to drive. And then I got Project Cars 2, and I just couldn't make head nor tail of it. I found the cars really tricky to handle, but maybe a bit more like someone getting into a Assetto Corsa for the first time. You had to be quite careful, but I just couldn't get into it. So I didn't really play it at all. And then I would just still play Project Cars 1, and I only just took it off my PlayStation recently, so I could allow for other games. But no, it's funny how it totally changed. And one of the places that they use it is at Brooklands, at the Mercedes headquarters, which is well worth a trip to go and see, because they have the F1 simulators, and then they also have the GT simulators, and it's a proper simulator setup. They've got about 10 of them, and they use Project Cars 2 for their GT simulator. And it's really tough because you think, it's going to be like an arcade or and it's like £10 for 10 minutes, but you sit in the whole thing, and then you drive away and you think, I just tried to turn right and nothing happened.
Yeah.
But I think maybe they'd be better with a Assetto Corsa or something that was a bit more drivable, or something that was a bit more fun to get around. But they are proper simulators with the play seats and I think it's all the Thrustmaster and things like that run it. But it's well worth going to, actually. It's great fun. But so let's get on with another question from one of our many viewers. Now let's see. I'm looking at the ones up here. Let's see what we got. What would be your favorite car if you could have it? Is there a comparison from one you've driven in GT Sport to one that you would really like to own?
Well, this is where I was talking about Japanese cars earlier. It's actually a Subaru WRX STI. I owned one. I loved it. I fell in love with it. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances, I had to sell it. And I don't cry very often, but that was one time I do remember crying, selling that and letting it drive away. It was my dream car. Always wanted it since about 5 or 6. My dad would always buy rally-controlled Subaru Imprezas, and I used to love them. And then I was like, I can't believe I actually owned one. I even took it to Silverstone for the Grand Prix, and I was just blown away by it. So if I could pick any car in the world to have, it's that. I know it sounds surreal, and a lot of people say, "What, you can have a Ferrari, a Lambo, you can have anything." It's just something about it. It just does something for me, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the famous noise. It's that boxer engine. It's the blue color with gold wheels. I don't think there's another car in the world that can pull off blue and gold wheels. What car can wear gold wheels and it works? Like,
it's a bit like the old Trans Am, the Trans Am from the 80s from Smokey and the Bandit. They had the old Trans Ams with the gold wheels on them, and that's what you can remember from that time. But now we've got another question from GT Plus Racing. It says, "What sim gear are you running?"
So my sim gear is relatively. It's not that advanced. It's just it's good, but it's not like some of the stuff you see with these like Super GT and areas and stuff like that. So I've got a Logitech G29 steering wheel, which I've had for about a year now, and it's brilliant. It's fantastic. I can't really say a fan attack will make me lots quicker or it's worth the money because I've never bought one. But I use a Logitech G29, and this is a play seat challenge, is what I'm sitting in. And yeah, I feel like I've been fast enough with it. I don't feel like it can. If you some of the GT Sport World finalists from last year, they didn't even have a setup like this, and they got to the final. So I think sometimes people get too hung up on, I need a wheel to be competitive and all this stuff. Not necessarily. If you just practice on the controller and practice, you can be just as quick if you need to be. But yeah, this setup is just a Logitech G29 play seat challenge, and it works a treat. Does the job every day of the week. If anyone's getting into sim racing, you really don't have to spend thousands. I think I got this as a deal. The steering wheel and the seat for £350. And it was really good. And I got F1 2019 with it. So really it was a really good deal. And yeah, I honestly couldn't recommend it enough.
It does pay, because some of your viewers might not have seen that. I've got exactly the same setup as you, and I've decided to get it in a Black Friday deal. So actually, these deals will be coming out quite soon again. I know that Costco have the G29 wheel. They did have quite recently, and it was only £145, including VAT, certainly in Britain. So I imagine it'll be a similar price, whatever that equates in dollars and things. So it's a great entry level, and it's decent. It seems to work on lots of games, and you don't have to do much adjustment. It just seems to work pretty well. And of course, you can fold it up and put it away, which is great. So it is quite good if you need the space as well. But yeah, so no, it's going to be fun. And I think when I got mine, I think I spent about £300 on it. I actually got my money back because I went on a company car driving day a few months later, and with all the practice I'd had, I thought, right, they might have a simulator at the event, because they have lots of different manufacturers. And sure enough, Toyota and Lexus had brought Gran Turismo in a tent.
That set you up a treat. The
thing is, my mate was there. My mate who told me, and he said, you need to come and do the lap, because if you did the lap, the prize was a new PS4 along with Gran Turismo. And there was this French guy who was there. He was obviously driving company cars, and it was over 2 days, and he had the fastest time by quite a bit. They used, I think, it was the Supra or some of this, one of the GT3 or GT4 cars. I can't quite remember. Around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So I just went round and round and round. I had as many practice shots as I could to try and do it. And I remember I was in the tent with a guy who looked like he was a proper driver, because he had the racing boots and all the rest of it. I'll just wait for you to send me the PlayStation when I go back to France. I will leave you my address in France, and you can just send it on to me. And I was like, right, I'm going to get this.
That's motivating. That's when he thinks he's already won it. You're like, that's motivation. That
I beat him by like a tenth and a half the next day, and I was
still winning it.
So that was me. I am, and the PlayStation and the game and all this stuff, it's worth it. And the following year, I won an event to go to Mercedes, the same driving event. So I got a drive in a proper Mercedes C43 AMG saloon, and the free shot on the simulators as well. At Brooklands at the kind of head office there, which is an amazing museum and place to go. So I think when you start doing this, it's amazing how the opportunities come up. And if you're fast enough, and of course, as the COVID thing unfortunately has put a dampener on all the kind of motor racing events, but when you go to the big events, there's now simulators everywhere. So have you found, did you go to things like the Goodwood Festival of Speed and things like the British Grand Prix? Did they have some simulators that you could have a shot on there?
There have been, but I've never really. I would love to. Every time I go to a place, I've just been really unlucky and not had the chance. So I used to work at a car dealership, right? And literally the week before I joined working there, they had a sim, a proper like sitting Formula One sim. You got the fastest time, you win tickets to Silverstone. And I was away that week, and I was thinking to myself, if I was there, I was so confident. Like, if I was there, I would have won it. Like, I would have won. And I just kept kicking myself. I thought, if I'd done that, I was like, that's Silverstone ticket sorted like that. I thought, that's definitely easy. I thought, I've seen some of the guys there. I thought, they ain't going to be quick. And I knew, and I was gutted. But if they ever do come up, I might keep in contact with you, Hugh, because you've won a couple already. So wherever you go, mate, I might just follow you and just see if I can beat you and get your luck.
I'll say it somewhere else, so I don't. It was I mean, certainly they had some great ones at Goodwood. There's so many of them now, and from Race Room, to Mercedes. They always have a really good stand with them, but BMW have had them. They've all had them, which is fantastic, and it adds to the feel. And I think when they do this at some of the big racing events as well, like with David Perel at the Blancpain events they have at Silverstone and Brands Hatch, when they actually have them in the tents as well, you go out there, you watch a bit of the race, but when it's quiet, you can come in and have a go on the sim.
Yeah,
and it just fires you up because you think, I've had a go, and then I think it really helps the motorsport enthusiast to go out there and enjoy the racing event because he feels much more involved, or she feels much more involved. So I can only see it as a kind of bit of a revival for motorsport, actually, because I think most of us love racing because we do it. We play the games, but we know we can't really do it for real unless you've got a lot of money to spend. But this is your chance to have a go, and you never know if you're good enough. People are getting through championships. I mean, that's what David Perel was saying. He's doing it so that folk who are really good have a chance to get into a real series. And I think that would be an amazing thing. That's the thing.
100%. There are so many good sim racers out there that I could guarantee if they jumped into like a professional series, they'd do well. I mean, let's take Igor Fraga, who was a finalist last year for GT Sport. He's now in Formula 2. So he won a championship, I think, with Toyota in his first series. So he'd never done racing before he won it. And then he went in Formula 3, did well on that. He was with a terrible team. But he's been promoted to Formula 2 for next season. And it just goes to show. And he's fantastic. But there's so many other quick drivers out there. It's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, they could beat professionals. I really do think they could. Sim drivers are very, very underrated. They really are. Yeah.
Now, we've got a question from Gorilla Gaz 86. It says, Ollie, is there a possibility of yourself, Rory and Steve doing a combined stream in the future? Maybe another charity stream?
It would be nice. Of course it would. I've been in a few of Erie streams. I haven't really been part of Super GTs apart from what happened a couple of days ago. But I've got to be frank. If I'm sat in their shoes, I could understand why they wouldn't want to do it with me because they've got like 30,000 plus subscribers and I'm just below 5. So for them, it's like, what's in it for them? But yeah, if I was them, I'm thinking, what's the point in doing it with a 5,000 subscriber when I can get my mate who's got like 50, 60 and we can do it. So I would absolutely, I'd jump on the chance. But I can get why they wouldn't want to do it with me because I'm not that level. I'm getting there. I'm trying my very best. But I think I have to get more well-known in the community before that happens. And the other thing as well, I don't want people to think I'm just doing it because I want the views and subscribers. I generally want to have I want to meet people. I want to have a laugh. I want to have friends from it. So I wouldn't want to just, think people are just looking at me to get views from it. I would want to meet Steve. I want to meet them. I'd want to go maybe for a pint with them or something and, get someone on a friendship level before we did anything because I don't want them to think I'm just after them for views or subscribers because that's not what it's about.
Get them as drunk as you can and then race them.
Record it like, that's who I beat today. But,
another pint.
Yeah, exactly. But
But no, that's the way to do it. But to be fair, and I mean, I have to give a shout out to a lot of the guys who have kindly come over to be interviewed on the show in the last wee while. And Rory, he brought a huge crowd of people. It was one of the biggest shows I'd ever had. And when he said he was happy to do the show, and there is a great they're very giving, which is really lovely because for someone like myself and this channel, which is very, very small, it's phenomenal if we can have somebody come who's got a lot of subscribers, just because it gives us more views. It gives us a chance to have the kind of interaction with our guests, and that's what we want. We want to see the guests ask lots of questions, and then that that's your community there, and they all want to know more about you. And as we were saying earlier, they can do this in this type of environment because you're not racing, so you've got a better chance to answer the easier questions and the more complicated questions, which is the thing all about it. And Rory just sent me his t-shirt.
Did he?
Yes, he sent me a t-shirt. So
awesome.
I will be wearing that. I didn't have a chance to do it tonight, but I'll be wearing it on Monday night for my gaming stream, which is Fat Man in a Cheap Sim. But we must try and do a race as well. I think it'd be great fun to be in a lobby with you. My hope is once the COVID thing hopefully starts to ease up next year, because I live in the Scottish borders, so we have a huge motor racing history. We have Jim Clark and we have the Jim Clark Rally and all these things. Racetrack, which is an amazing racetrack. Places that people like Fangio, Moss, Jack Brabham, all these incredible heroes of the early Formula One era have all raced there. And we hope that when they do the Jim Clark Rally again, it's normally about the end of May, that we could actually have a sim race on the same weekend, because thousands of people come to Duns and they close the road, so they actually rally around the town centre. It's quite dramatic. Watch, and if we could have a sim race with all people like yourself and Steve and others, I've got a list.
It'd be incredible.
Then we could all put them together, and not only do we have this great historic rally to watch as well, but we've got the cream of the new guys coming in as well with sim racing. So it would be something. So you'll be welcome to come. I would love to have you up for that. And,
all over that kind of stuff. It'd be great. We just got to wait for COVID to finish whenever it finally does. I don't know when, but yeah, it would be great.
To so many things, and it has been very, very hard. But I think there's an exciting future there to do big events and then to have sim racing events alongside it, because people can get involved and come in and watch, and it'd be great fun, and especially if you get nice summer weather and you're all coming up racing sims. I think it's a nice weekend away to have some fun, and also a chance to meet other sim racers who would be there too. So it's I know
a cracking idea.
Yeah, I spoke to Tidgey and David Perel, and to Rory and to Steve and a few others, and they've all said they would like to do it. So maybe we can hopefully we can put it together in the next year.
Big names there, yeah, that'd be great.
And then you can all say, look, you've raced against each other, and you have a chance to meet them as well. And
I'll buy them all a pint first, and then we'll go racing, shall we? I'll buy them a few pints first.
That's the thing. We'll give them a dodgy Scotch pie.
Now, a chance.
Now, a question here from Philip Hockton. What are you hoping to achieve with YouTube?
The sky's the limit, and I know it sounds a bit like, come on, mate, I do sim racing. I just want to work hard and get as big as I possibly can. I think I've mentioned it a lot, Super GT in this one, but he's the goal. He's the goal. He's the guy we all aspire to be, like, subscriber wise, and have that fan base. And I just want to just keep going until I get there. Like, there's no reason for me to stop. Like, I love doing it. And I find myself, I'm pretty good on racing games sometimes. So I think to myself, why stop? I enjoy it. I really do. I wouldn't even, if it was free, I'd still be doing it. I just love doing it. So it doesn't really make too much difference for me. But I'm always checking the statistics, like, oh, what can I do here? What can I do better? These videos, do these ones bang? Why doesn't this bang? And I'm always looking at it, because I just want to get as big as I possibly can. And that's not being like arrogant. It's because I'm determined. I want to do it. There's a reason I do, like, I have a full-time job and I do YouTube straight afterwards, because I love it. And I just want to get as big as I can. And it's as simple as that, really. Just get as big as I can and just go from there. The idea of having, the idea of people watching me, liking my stuff is, amazing in itself. For me, when I started doing this in January, I thought, if I have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'll be so happy. And I've only got 5, and it's October, and it's just amazing. And I'd just be so happy. If it didn't grow anymore, I'd still be so happy. But I just want to keep grinding and get it as big as I possibly can. I won't stop. I will keep going until there's no more sim racing to be done. I will keep going. I'll keep going.
Turn off, so you can't afford it, though. But that's
yeah, exactly. I'll just keep going for you.
Your wife will have to be peddling the machines there to create the electricity.
She will. Yeah.
Now we've got a funny question here from Loopy Racing. He says, "Can I ask how old Ollie is?" He says he looks like a teenager.
I'm actually 27.
27.
I'm 27 years old. Yeah. Don't know. Well, that's it. That was the question. I don't know how to expand on that, but yes, I am 27 years old. So maybe it's the camera, maybe it's the light, maybe it's doing the world a good. But you can never be upset about someone saying you're a lot younger than you actually are. So I'll take it. Cheers.
Now we've got a question from from Ian Dockery. It says David from Southampton. Is it true you got inspired by your granddad? But I think that question may have already been answered earlier. But,
no, and I can tell you why. I said that is my granddad right there. So he's the one that's typed that message. So that's why he's had you there. So my granddad has no idea about motorsports or anything like that. He just wanted to get in there because he's watching this, and with humour, he thought it'd be hilarious to type that kind of thing. He's a funny man, but yeah, he knows nothing about it. He knows absolutely nothing. He just thought it'd be a joker and put it in there. So he has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Oh well, oh dear. So it's not generational. You have not been inspired by previous generations to get into motorsport. But on saying that, who would be, if you could meet some racing drivers out there, who would be the ones you would like to meet?
Jenson Button was always my hero as growing up. So Jenson Button, 100% all the way. Jenson. For me, he was just such a nice bloke in the whole everything he did, and he just knew cars inside and out, and he was so smooth, buttery smooth. He was just by far and away my favourite. So it'd be Jenson Button, and then I'd also like to meet Lando Norris as well, because his banter and everything is great. So if I had to pick two drivers, it would be them. It would be them. It would be them without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny that because Lando has really taken the internet by storm, hasn't he? And the kind of he's done it because he loves to do it so much. But he seems like a really nice bloke. I always enjoy watching interviews with him, and he's done extremely well. And really, I think from what he's done with McLaren, he deserves that success because I think he's shown a lot of great skill and foresight. It would just be really nice to see George Russell in a better car because he's also extremely good. And if he could get into he's done a lot with the Williams car, to be fair. But if he could get into this, even a proper midfield team, I'm sure he would show even more.
He's got a lot of promise, isn't he? He looks scary quick. When you watch the Formula One esports, when it was like COVID and all the Formula One drivers take part, he just ripped everyone to shreds. He was as fast as the esports drivers. He was unbelievable. And I'm sure if he went in something like you said, a midfield pack or a Mercedes, he'd blow everyone away. He really, really would. There's a reason Williams want to stick with him because he's so good. So good.
Well, the one claim to fame I have is that the only Grand Prix I've ever been to was the European Grand Prix at Donington in 1993, and I saw Senna win in that most incredible lap.
Oh wow!
And it was astonishing because it was wet and then it was dry, wet and dry. They ran out of tyres, and we were at the old Donington Loop at the back of the circuit. And when he came round, we'd heard obviously the cars go, and at that time it was just a red light and a green light, and that was it. And they were about half a mile away past the grandstand, and then you could hear the revs rise, and then it just dropped, and then off they went, and then they went round the circuit, and you saw the flashing lights because it was quite foggy and really terrible weather for a Grand Prix. And eventually, by the time he came round, Senna was in second place. He had passed Hill, he came into the chicane, and off he went down the hill. And when he came back into view, he had got past Prost, and leading the race. And then after that, he was on to just about lap everyone except Damon Hill. But it was the most incredible.
That sounds like one to experience that. That sounds you could never forget that if you watch that. Surely, that sounds quite incredible.
And the funny thing was, we had a little Damon Hill Union Jack flags with us because we were Hill supporters, and they were the cheapest Union Jack flag you could kind of get. And then we looked behind us because every time if Senna went past, there was this big crowd, and they were kind of shouting away behind us. And of course, there was a whole bunch of Brazilians, and they had their Senna flags and all this stuff.
Yeah,
but they were so nice, because they would do a kind of Mexican wave as he went past, And then they had a barbecue going on the side, and they actually shared with us their barbecue, which was amazing because they saw us with his droopy Union Jack flags. They must have but no, it's amazing because you said you've been to the Grand Prix as well. How did you find that?
Well, at Silverstone.
Yeah.
It was really good. I thought when I went there with my sister and my dad and the missus, and we loved it. It was great. The only pet peeve I got about Silverstone it is expensive. It is. I wish it wasn't as expensive. It is, but it was fantastic. I only live about an hour away from the circuit, so when we went, we had a 3-4 day weekend ticket, so we just drive down there, drive back, and it was really good. It was my first real experience of watching any F1 race live, and then the next year we went to Spain and went to the Spanish Grand Prix.
Oh, fantastic!
And we watched that. So I watched that abroad, and funnily enough, we also had tickets to the Austrian Grand Prix. But of course, COVID struck and we couldn't go. And the weekend, I believe we were meant to be going, which is when it was scheduled. It was the first race of the season and no one could turn up because of COVID. Yeah. So I had tickets. I've been to Silverstone, I've been to Catalonia, and I was going to go to the Red Bull Ring, which is probably one of the most exciting ones you could go to. Yeah. And COVID struck and that was that. So Still got tickets for next year, actually. So we had the option of returning them, get the money back, or keeping them and go next year. And my thought process was, I'll keep it because if COVID does disappear and people are allowed back in, I can guarantee those tickets will be worth so much more. So if we did change our minds, wanted to go, couldn't afford it. So decided to keep the tickets. They'll be there for next year. Just got my fingers crossed we can actually go. Fingers crossed.
I think I think it will ease up by Christmas, but that's my kind of view. I think things are beginning to kind of change a wee bit. So hopefully there's no more over.
Well, I can hope so. We can hope so.
Next year things will start to return. Certainly by the summer, you would hope that we'll be able to go to these events again, because that would be something. Now we've got a question from GT Plus Racing. What do you think of the state of the sport of GT sport at the moment with the current penalty system? We get this every
yes. So there's pros and cons to this. So the pro thing is that everyone is much more conscious of what they're doing. There's not as many. I don't feel like there's as many incidents anymore. Everyone's a lot cleaner and safer. But there's a massive negative side to where it is because people aren't racing as hard or as well as they want to because they're so scared of getting a penalty. And that kind of, it does ruin it a little bit. I won't lie, there has been some better racing because of it. But at the same time, if you've seen some of my videos, I've been absolutely destroyed by the penalty system. And I've had account resets because of it. And I think if you watch my stream from Monday, I've got 8 seconds of penalties, all completely and utterly not my fault. So I come out of Spa and I served like a 2-second penalty. Again, not my fault. So I was ghosting and I was on the right-hand side. So people were doing about 180 miles an hour at this point. People were fighting. I was on the right-hand side. I ghosted out about 70 miles an hour. So someone's launched into the back of me and I've gone flying, 5-second penalty. So I could not be further off the racing line if I tried. And even though he hit me, I got a 5-second penalty. I was like, what is this? But yeah, there's the pro side is that there can be some better, cleaner racing. The bad side is when it goes wrong, my God, does it go wrong? It's just the problem is as well, it's pulling people away from the game. There's just so many people that comment on my videos going, love watching your videos, but I don't race because I know I'm just going to get a penalty. And those C, B rated lobbies and D rated lobbies, they're disappearing. Very quickly. Only like your A and A plus are kind of hanging around because the lower rated people, if they make a simple mistake, it costs them so much. It kind of and you want it to be in a good situation before GT7 comes out because you want people to be playing GT Sport and going, I can't wait for GT7. But you've got the opposite effect of people going, oh, I don't really like GT Sport. I don't even want to buy GT7 because it might just be exactly the same. So if you're watching Polyphony, please, please sort it. Please fix it, please. Oh, dear.
We've been quite fortunate because I started the Fat Man in the Cheap Sim PSN only about 6 or 8 weeks ago. And so we've kind of slowly been going up. I think we're a B and a B at the moment. We were B and S, but we had a few rough races. But we've not had a DR reset. I'm trying to stay out of trouble as much as I can and try and keep going. We're about 25,000 points, just over that. So aiming to get up to 30,000 to get into A. But it is tough if you're in a B rank lobby, especially. A lot of people have said in the comments, it just seems like people just go for you. They see you as a target, and you get a lot of silly penalties for absolutely nothing. So they'll have to improve it. Otherwise, GT7 will not be a success. I mean, I think if people bought it and then did a review and it was like Project Cars 3, it would be a disaster. So
it would.
Otherwise, it's going to be, I'm sure it will be better than that, but they can't afford to have a bad slip up, and they need to get it sorted out. The second part of that question. Oh, there's another quick question there from your granddad.
Oh no, here we go. Go on.
Tell Ollie that Danny Ings has scored for England.
Yes. So I'm a Saints fan. So is my granddad. So Danny Ings is our boy. So yeah, that's fantastic. So I like the fact he's communicating with me through YouTube and a live stream. I'd like to point out whose granddad could do that. Can I just say that? Whose granddad could watch a live stream with a YouTube account, create one, comment, and tell his grandson that Danny Ings scores? Props to him. Fair play.
Tell your granddad if you can subscribe to the channel. Even better.
Brilliant.
No, that's fantastic. So we've talked about future goals and plans. We've seen what you would like to do with the channel. We've asked about tips for racing and so on, and also your best results and favourite games. So we've had a really good range of questions. So I'm going to quickly put it out to the comments again to our viewers. If you've got any more questions for Basic Ollie, then get them right now as we start to finish the show or head towards that. There's the thing. Oh, we've got one from Philip Houghton. Today, he got into an A-rated lobby in the racing, and the racing was more unfair than the B lobbies. He was told, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's one of those funny things. How do you find, because obviously you're at the very top. I mean, you're at A+, and you've been to S and S+, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been SS. Yeah, I've finished in the top 200 several times, and you get that famous SS badge, and you get that email saying if you do this, you get to be sent off to the finals. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah, I've just been sent an email from them saying if you finish like in the top 200 again, or do like certain things. I think it was when it was in Rome. It was like, oh, we'll send you out to Rome. It's funny because there's little terms and conditions. Goes, we won't send you first class. We will send you we will send you. Don't think we'll put you in a hotel. We will provide food, but don't take the mick and stuff like that. So I've had that email. That's quite funny. But yeah, with lobbies, it's strange. So you can find yourself you can have like people like A+ rated SS drivers, and because they've had a bad race, they're in the B rated lobbies. Yeah, but because they're so angry because of what's happened, and then they kind of get self-righteous, think, well, I'm in these B-rated drivers, they can get out of my way, and they just kind of push them out the way. So with these B-rated drivers saying, oh, I'm in an A-rated lobby, this should be good, or whatever, and then it's even worse than they were before, because there's just people in there that are just angry. They're just angry they're there in the first place. So, yeah, sometimes an A-rated driver can generally be worse than the B-rated driver in terms of sportsmanship. It does happen. Yeah. It really does.
Now we've got a good question here from Philip again. Ask about the community that you have created with your YouTube channel. So
so I have to say the community we've managed to create on my channel is like no other. It's like no other. It's just such a nice community. We've got a Discord. Everyone gets along, and we have I have someone on my Discord called Gorilla Gaz. He's been like a moderator for me since I've had a couple hundred subscribers. And recently, in the last month or so, since he's been like a moderator, so in the last 3-4 months, he's been very ill in hospital, almost died. But he'd always join the stream when he could from his hospital bed, just to make sure everything's okay, which is, and I thought that is unreal. So as soon as he come back, I started a thing with the community called Get Gaz a Will. So whenever I'd stream, anything people donated to me, they could choose if it went towards Get Gaz a Will Fund or myself. So within a month, we've raised £215. And when I next get paid from YouTube, Gaz is getting a will. And that's all because of the community that we've got, that we've managed to raise that. And so it's just been brilliant. So Gaz is well now, so he's back home. And then at the end of the month, I'll hopefully be doing a video of buying him a wheel. And then there should be hopefully one of him kind of unboxing it and that kind of stuff. But that's all from the community. We're not the biggest in the world, but because of what we are and what we've done, it's just been brilliant. Like, I couldn't thank people enough. It was unbelievable, the donations. And it's the community on this channel is surreal. You wouldn't believe how good the community is. It's fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah. No, that's great to know. And you do see that. I mean, I noticed that as well with Rory's community, because that night when they came over, it was quite funny. We were both streaming our gaming sessions, and I ended up being in a race at the Nürburgring with Rory. And when he saw my name in there, he recognized it because he'd just been on my show a few days before. And at the time, I was trying to get to 100 subscribers, and people on my channel knew that's what was going to happen. And then they must have, Rory had found out. And so very kindly, people from his channel had come across and subscribed to mine, and we didn't just hit 100. We got something like about 120 in the end. So it was really fantastic, and it just shows you what people are like. And it's a lovely community. I think it's the kind of thing now, we would have gone to the pub to talk about cars or to talk about racing or something like that. Now we're all stuck at home and we're watching YouTube, but we've got our community with our racing fans and the racing channels that we follow. And it's really great because it's all fun, and most of the time, I think it all seems to work very well indeed. Now we've got a question here from GT Plus Racing. Hugh, we should start a casual league with those of us who have been involved here, both guests and subs. What does Ollie think?
I'll be up for it. I'm up for anything. I really am. Anything that will kind of like bring people together, the sim community together, I'm all for it. I am all for it. So if people ever wanted to do that, I'm all getting. The only thing I would say, without being rude or anything like that, because I have a full-time job and I need to record and stream, I really do not have much time at all. So it would have to be planned in the future because I don't have much time. So I'd love to do it with people. I just don't want people to think I'm ignoring them or anything like that. I just genuinely, it's hard to keep up. I find it hard just to keep up with the YouTube comments at the moment. And so that God knows how like anyone with like 100,000+ subscribers does it. I've no idea. You get comments every 10-15 seconds. And it's just, you can't keep up. Like you generally can't keep up. So I never want people to think I'm rude or anything like that. But it would just have to be planned in advance because I'd need to find the time.
Yeah. We're hoping to do a proper league. We did a lobby thing on Monday, which was quite fun. It will either be called the Hat Trick Racing League, or it might be called Fat Man in a Cheap Sim Racing League. So
yeah, the only problem with that name, Hugh, is everyone's going to think they're a fat man in a sim.
I don't want to go around and tell people it was really based on me. But it was the only one, but that might be on the trophy. But it might be called the Hat Trick Racing League.
Yeah.
But it would be fun. Definitely. We'll get that sorted out. Well, it's been fantastic having you on the show. That's been an hour. It's absolutely flown in.
Yeah, it has. To be fair, it's been brilliant. I've enjoyed it. I really
very
have.
busy man, and I don't want to take advantage of your generosity. You've already given us all today. But it's absolutely fantastic, and thank you to all of your viewers and subscribers who have been watching here tonight. Really appreciate you watching, and if you do want to subscribe to the channel, that would be amazing. We've got lots of interviews with other sim drivers and racing drivers, and also we have a kind of banter channel as well, where we've done quite a few shows where we talk about Formula One and other things. So I'm sure you'll enjoy them, especially if you like Ollie as well, as I'm sure you do. It would be fantastic for you if you want to watch them too. But we will leave it there. But stay on the line just now, Ollie. When I finish the show now, we have our kind of motto here on the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. I don't know if you've heard of it. You may have not. But it's called Drive Fast and Try Not to Crash. That is
simple, but works.
So to all of our viewers and listeners around the globe, thank you very much for joining us tonight and watching what has been a fantastic interview and a show with Ollie. We've found out what makes him so fast. He's given us the tips. So now there's no more excuses for driving slowly. And hopefully we'll get a race with him in the next wee while. But it's been an honour to have you on the show. Really fantastic.
Thank you. Loved it.
Absolutely take care. And for all of our viewers and all of our all of our watchers, we also have Josh Martin tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. live. And he's doing F1 sim racing. He's just beaten David Perel at Monza in the Ferrari Hublot series, which was a big victory for him. So that will be fantastic to watch. So take care and drive fast and try not to crash. And we'll see you tomorrow.